Eileo guys, and welcome back. And in today's video, we're going to be taking another look at Sha Wujing, which this video was requested by Salvadorian, so once again shout out to Salvadorian for hitting me up on Discord and being like, hey Eileo, check this out, I think it's worthy for a redo. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright, and so starting off here you guys, we have Fire Sha Wujing, who is an attacker. He's coming in with 30k HP, 3.6k attack, and then 2.2k defense. So his attack stat is fine, and defense is, well, kind of a bit anemic, but his HP stat does make up for it. So his stat distribution, at least on paper, in my opinion, is fine for a nat 5. But let's take a look at these skills here. So for his 3-star skill, he has Weaken, which grants a 70% chance to weaken the enemy for 2 turns. This means reduced attack and defense. And then for his 5-star skill, he has Courageous Strike, which greatly increases his attack power in proportion to the target's maximum HP. So when you see these mons, they're definitely useful in places like Colossus. I actually use my Wood Merlins in the Dimension Defense dungeons, and you can also use them in areas like Titans, of course. So with this kit already, this is purely like towards Titans in my opinion. Like, I wouldn't see any reason to bring him in PvP. So if you want to bring him in PvP, that's on you here. But the main issue I have with him though is his skill kit. Having your Courageous Strike skill on a 5-star skill versus your 3-star skill makes it extremely unreliable. Meaning this monster is taking up a slot in my Titans team, in my Titans lane, and I have to rely on him to get orbs to do his Courageous Strike skill. Like, you don't want that if you want to maximize damage. Now, if this is all that you have at the time of this video, work with what you have here, but this isn't optimal. The most optimal situation for a Astromon like this is probably feeding it into another one, but that's just one man's opinion, because another Astromon exists called Fire Poseidon with essentially the same exact skill kit, but he's obviously farmable from doing clan versus clan. And what makes him more appealing than Fire Sha Wujing, if I can find him, even though he's like practically right next to him, is that he has Courageous Strike on his 3-star skill and then Weaken on his 5-star skill. So if he can get orbs and get Weaken off, that's great, he's doing his job. But in the very, very sad case that he doesn't get orbs, congratulations, I'm still maximizing damage with him as much as possible because, well, I don't have to rely on orbs to do his Courageous Strike. But let's go and take a look at the skill books real quick. So Weaken receives a 15% damage boost and goes up to 80% for 2 turns, and then Courageous Strike receives a 20% damage boost. I have seen some Evo 3 Fire Sha Wujings out there, so I'm interested to see how he has performed, you know, since the last time I did his review video, if he's getting up there in terms of numbers for damage. Probably not. It's just that he requires an intricate setup, which in my opinion isn't super duper worth it. But once again, this is only one guy's opinion. And then moving on next to Water Sha Wujing, who is a balanced type. He's coming in with 31k HP, 2.9k attack, and then 2.9k defense. I didn't notice this until now, you guys, but Sha Wujing is a pretty boy, ain't he? But let's go and take a look at these skills. So for his 3-star skill, he has Resistance Down, which grants a 100% chance to reduce the enemy's resistance for 2 turns. Very helpful for applying stuff like crowd control moves, shock, you got stun, anything of that nature. Even if you want to do sap. Why would you bring sap in a PvP situation? If you have Dark Yuki, that makes sense. If you have Dark Arthur, that makes sense. If you have anyone else, well, I'm probably going to judge you. But the 5-star skill is going to be Steal, which has a 70% chance to steal the enemy's passive skills for 2 turns. So when he first came out, I do want to say that he was highly recommended because we were at that point in time just going through the whole Fire Jacka meta, and Fire Mons were extremely popular. But I feel like nowadays it's just purely just crowd control. So I still think he's useful nowadays. I don't think he is as useful as he was before, but especially if you're a newer player and you're just trying to get your little toes wet in terms of PvP, I still think this mon could do a decent job, especially if you have mons like Light Leo, if you have mons like Light Yuki, for example, or something of that nature where their main selling point is preventing the enemy from acting, with damage being obviously a high secondary skill for them. Well, let's take a look at the books. So Resistance Down gets a 30% damage increase, pretty chunky, but is it worth the books? And then Seal also receives a 15% damage boost. It looks like it goes up to what, 90%? Nope, it goes up to 80% for 3 turns. Still a very chunky increase, especially as a Nat 5 RGB mon, but it's really just not worth it. Like, you could definitely build him to Evo 3 if you want to use him, but I still think keeping him at somewhere like Evo 2 for all practical purposes is perfectly fine in terms of investment until you can kind of get a more meta squad in terms of PvP. Outside of that, I mean, if you need a resistance down Astromon, once again, I'm not going to judge you. Use what you have to use for content, but keep in mind that there's cheaper and other alternative Astromon that you can use for the same job. So pretty much only a PvP mon. You could obviously bring him in somewhere like Clan versus Clan or kind of have him in the Champion League, but once again, that's kind of up to you if you want to go that route. Alright, and then next up we do have Wood Sha Wujing. He is a balance type and he's coming in with 32k HP, nearly 33k. Pretty chunky for a balance type. His attack is 2.9k and then his defense is 2.8k, which I will say that the Wujings have a decent stat distribution so far, especially as Nat 5s, and I keep noticing more and more about him, but that dude has some big old giant hands, bro. But let's take a look at these skills. So for his 3-star skill, he has Battle Rush, which attacks restore 20% of his own HP and SP, so he can kind of self-sustain himself. Now you guys should know by now that I am an advocate for morale boost over Battle Rush, but it is what it is. For his 5-star skill though, he has Defense Down, which grants 80% chance to reduce the enemy's defense for 2 turns. So when I was going through this, I was kind of thinking about where he could be possibly useful at nowadays, because things may have changed since the last video, and I will say that he seems like he could be interesting, at least on paper, in terms of having him in the Dimension Defense dungeon, obviously for the Water Astromon in general, because like I said before, I do run a team with 2 Wood Merlins, and I have my Hana for healing, and also my Mini Cat to boost up my attack. But I guess in theory, depending on my damage output, if I could somehow pull like a Wood Wujing and get him to Evo 2, I could potentially run him in there and just have him apply defense down to the mobs. I mean, that's his main selling point, and he can get that off super quick. 80% chance to get that to stick is pretty chunky, and that could potentially speed up my Dimension Defense team. But taking a look at his skills, when books are applied, Battle Rush does receive a 20% damage boost and goes up to 25% for his HP and SP, and then Defense Down receives, looks like it's a 25% damage boost. So once again, books are kind of meh so far. Alright, and then we're getting over here into the good bits. We do have Light Sha Wujing, who's a defender type. He's coming in with nearly 31k HP, 2.6k attack, and then 3.6k defense. Decent attack stat to be a defender, I will say. That might be just about it here, but for his 3-star skill, he has Seal, which grants 100% chance to seal the enemy's passive skill for 3 turns, and then for his 5-star skill, he has Damage Reduction, which reduces damage done to all allies for 2 turns. Just extremely underwhelming here. Seal is part of the problem, but the damage reduction doesn't really sell anything about him to me, at least from a PvP standpoint, because Seal does work. Damage reduction does work. Them being paired up together in this kit just doesn't work at all. But the whole damage reduction thing works if you have a mon that kind of synergizes around not only reducing damage for your squad, but a more intensive or a more active crowd control skill. Because outside of Seal, what does he bring to the table? That's what I thought. But let's take a look at these skills though. So Seal receives a whopping 25% damage boost, and then also damage reduction receives a 25% damage boost as well. Like, imagine pulling a very rare Astromon, a very rare natural 5-star Astromon, not even a 4-star Astromon, and you get this. It's just super underwhelming, at least in my opinion. So if you're rocking Light Sha Wujings, then feel free to leave in the comments below where you're rocking that bad boy at, or if he's just sitting in your mod box. And then last, and hopefully not least, we do have Dark Sha Wujing, who is an attacker type, and he's coming in with 28k HP, 3.7k attack, and nearly 2.5k defense. So fair stat distribution, and obviously with him being a Dark Mon, he does have that innate higher crit damage to kind of maximize that damage on him, and because he's an attacker type and we can see his Courageous Strike skill, prioritizing damage on him just makes sense. I just want to, put that out there though, because just because a Mon is a dark type doesn't automatically mean that they need crit rate up there. I'm just saying, just an FYI for you. But taking a look at the skills, which is Courageous Strike for the 3-star skill, and then Weaken for the 5-star skill, this is kind of what you want in a Courageous Striker, but once again, it's just in a scenario where it's just not optimal to have it. because he is a Darkmon. Like, if this was Fire Sha Wujing, which is basically just Poseidon, but obviously prettier looking, then things wouldn't really be an argument. I mean, obviously Fire Poseidon is still farmable, but in this case, you have Crazy Strike on your 3-star skill and Weaken on the 5-star skill, meaning damage is better than what it could be, especially using other Ashramon, like I believe Dark Amayoji, where her Crazy Strike is on her 5-star skill, but it doesn't really say much about that. Like, I'm not saying that he's a terrible Crazy Striker at all, and I'm not saying, oh, you don't have a Dark Indra? Peasants. I'm not saying that either. It's just that in this scenario, when you want to do as much damage to Light Titan as possible, there's just literally no way to control how many orbs this guy gets. Because if he gets orbs and he just starts spamming Weaken over and over and over again, well, congratulations, your Dark Crazy Striker is doing no damage. That is one of the biggest issues with that. But honestly, I would obviously take a Dark Sha Wujing over the Light one any days, because at least I could use him. But Courageous Strike anyways receives a 20% damage boost. Weaken receives a 20% damage boost as well, and it goes up to a whopping 90% for 2 turns. But yeah, you guys, that's pretty much it for the Sha Wujings, and I'm going to go ahead and end it here with just my whole opinionated segment. So I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Alright, to pretty much end things up here, you guys, since we went through the RGB and the light and dark versions of Sha Wujing, I'm just going to hit you guys with my whole opinion on him, and in regards to how you should kind of perceive him and what you should be aiming for just in general here. So I would pretty much say that dark is number 1 in my opinion, followed by either the fire or the wood one, depending on what your goal is in terms of MSL. And the water one is a great kind of like entry PvP unit. I think he still synergizes with good teams based around crowd control like shock and stun, etc. But I do feel like he isn't as prevalent as he was like when he first came out, because, well, obviously mons are a lot tankier and we have other stuff to worry about nowadays like immunity. But yeah, that's pretty much it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and if there's another monster review that you guys deem worthy of me like taking time and kind of redoing, then feel free to leave that in the comments below, or feel free to leave that in the comment of that said video, because I know some of my videos are from like 2017, 2018, so it's understandable. Have a great day if those monsters actually change. But yeah, that's pretty much it, you guys. See you.